Government is demanding be pulled back. What are the developments there?
We continued our negotiation and our political and our diplomatic effort to convince the Turkish army and the Turkish government to withdraw because this is violating the sovereignty of Iraq.
And has Turkey responded? What does it say?
Well, Turkish officials, they said that their presence is only for training, which we, again, we clearly stated and clearly said, even if there are any need of training, this should be comply with the rules and should be coordinated and should be asked formally from the Iraqi government, from the federal government, and so any presence that not comply with this rules, it's out of question.
Well, let me move on to U.S. forces and U.S. help. Has the Iraqi government, will the Iraqi government request, for instance, Apache or other attack helicopters for that mission, or any other U.S. military help?
Well, as you know, we welcomed any help from international community, from the international coalition. As you know, this happened now for several months. U.S. forces and the coalition forces, with the Iraqi permission, with the Iraqi government permission, they doing their airstrike. When we welcome this sort of support, on any support that can help the ground Iraqi forces to go ahead to defeat Daesh in different frontier and different areas.
Do you want Apache helicopters?
Well, any sort of military support, I mean airstrike or helicopters that can help Iraqi ground forces to progress and to defeat ISIS, whether in Al-Anbar now we have the operation or other areas. This should be decided by the Chief of Staff and the Prime Minister himself as the Chief Commander of the armies, they are in need or not.
You know that ever since this started, when ISIS started to take territory in 2014, a lot of questions raised about the Iraqi army and why they just fled, why they didn't fight back, why they couldn't fight back. You know that there are still many, many difficulties in Iraq between the Shiites of Iraq and the Sunnis of Iraq. And therefore, you must know that your own party, the Badr organization, is very, very controversial. And many accuse it of being responsible in great part for a lot of the sectarian divisions and violence between the sides. How do you respond to that?
Well, I think there is no problem between the Shia and Sunnis. This is first of all, because the main issue and the conflict is between political powers from the Sunni. They are trying to gain the power. The problem is that, as you know, the external powers, some countries from regional, they have the agenda. They provoke those powers inside Iraq. As you know, Daesh and ISIS take this advantage from this crisis. And as you know, Daesh and ISIS targeted everybody. And it is the danger of not only Iraq, it is the enemy of all the region and the threat to all the whole world, as we saw in French and in France and other countries.
Let me just ask you, though, because you talked about outside powers promoting their own agendas. As you know, the Badr organization is heavily promoted and backed by Iran, and many, many people are very worried about that. And particularly, I want to read you something from a U.S. State Department cable that was released, and it was back in 2009, regarding the head of your party, Mr. Hadi al-Amiri, saying that he was one of the people who directed many of the sectarian killings, and, quote, one of Amiri's preferred methods of killing allegedly involved using a power drill to pierce the skulls of his adversaries, of his enemies. How do you react to that?
You know, I'm not concerned about what is in the internet, you know.
No, it's a U.S. State Department cable.
Well, as you mentioned about the drilling and about, you know, sectarian crimes, there are many rumors and many accusations. It's not. We are welcoming any proof of these things. And by the way, no way Hadi Al-Amri involved in sectarian, crimes. On the contrary, he was a man of the state. So it is not true, and I don't think Badr organization was involved in any sectarian violation. On the contrary.
Minister Ghaban, a lot of people are still very concerned about these tensions, and many people blame the Iranian-backed militias.
I'm concerned myself. Sorry, I'm concerned as well myself about the tension. I'm not denying there is a tension. I'm not denying there is a problem, but the problem, as I said, is the outside agenda.
But just a question then, if you are concerned about that, have you also noticed, have you done anything about the fact that in some of these areas that were liberated by the Iranian-backed militias, this cycle keeps being continued? First ISIS rapes and pillages, and then the Shiites rape and pillage. Do you accept that, and is there a way out of that?
Let me tell you about my experience when we liberated Tikrit, its hometown of Saddam, So when we, all the forces jointly went forward to liberate Tikrit, on my side as Ministry of Interior, and my ministry and all, forces we have in the Ministry of Interior, we did our best to secure the area. Once we liberated the area, establish security. This is what was the aim, and now we see 80% of Tikrit people, they went back. Yes, I know there were some violations. I'm not denying. There was some, people which they did some violation, but of course we condemn this violation. We did our best, quickly acting to control those violations and not to let any violation happen.
And Minister, how do you assess now the state of the fight against ISIS? Are you winning?
40% of the area occupied by Daesh is liberated. Now they're losing the hope. They cannot resist. Whenever we do operation, we liberate that area. Yes, we have the challenge now. Sometimes they have the sleeping cell. Sometimes they have some shelter. People refusing them because of their act, because they target everybody, because of their violation, because of their tyranny. Nobody now tolerating ISIS. They have no place, and we will defeat ISIS, and we will do our best, because the main now, I think, base for Daesh is Mosul and Fallujah, and we have plans in future after we liberating Al-Anbar.
Minister Mohammed Ghaban, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you.